Hi there, U.S. historian. So today, what I'm going to focus on is the end of World War II and the beginning of the Cold War. So make sure to title your notes. So to kind of start with the end of World War II, okay, there's fighting taking place in kind of two portions of the world here. Okay, Europe and the Pacific. Okay, so in Europe at this point, fascist Italy has dropped out of the war, and Nazi Germany is on the verge of being taken over. Okay, the Allied forces have invaded at Normandy in France on D-Day. They have slowly marched towards Germany. On the opposite side, on the east, the Soviet Union uh, is poised to take over Berlin, which is the capital of Germany. Okay, you can see in the upper right hand corner here, this is the Soviet flag being raised over Berlin. Okay, so towards the end of the war, Hitler really struggles with realizing that his regime is coming to an end. Okay, so he's going to go into an underground bunker. Okay, there's bombs dropping on his city. He's calling for Germans to continue to fight, but eventually comes to the realization that he's going to lose this war. Okay, so he marries his mistress at the time, Ava Braun, in an underground bunker. Okay, later on, they decide that they're going to get captured, so they bite down on cyanide capsules to commit suicide. Okay. And ultimately, despite a little bit of continued fighting by some of the Hitler Youth, Germany surrenders. Okay, so what that leaves is just the Japanese who continued to fight. Okay, here, I'm going to move this over this way here. We'll go kind of up in this right hand corner. Okay, make this a little bit smaller there. Okay, so we've talked about this in class quite a bit. Okay, that Japan refuses to surrender. Okay, so on August 6th, we are going to drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. Okay, we've talked about this quite a bit in class. August 9th, we're going to drop in a second atomic bomb on the city of Nagasaki. Okay, at this point, we've used up our nuclear weapons. Okay, but based on interviews with Japanese military leaders, they thought that we had kind of an unlimited supply of atomic weapons and we're going to continue to keep dropping them. Okay. When in fact we'd run out of nuclear weapons. It would take quite a while to rebuild these things. Okay. But regardless, okay, on August 14th, 1945, the Japanese give an unconditional surrender, meaning that the United States and the Allied nations are pretty much in control of Japan, right, in control of their future. Okay, so at this point, the fighting in World War II is over. Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do on Edpuzzle. Okay, think about just wars in general, or if you know specific things about World War II, I'm going to ask you to enter in what are issues that need to be resolved at the end of this war. Okay, whether it's just, again, war in general, issues that need to be addressed, or specifically World War II. Okay, so one of the issues, of course, in any war is destruction. So the issue of rebuilding, of who's going to pay for this destruction. So remember in World War II, the Allied nations made Germany pay. Okay, in this war, the United States is going to pay. Okay, which seems kind of odd because we win this war. Okay, so we give $17 billion to European nations to help them rebuild. Okay, even countries like Germany that we fought against and Italy as well. Okay, the idea being is we don't want these countries growing unstable, where dangerous ideologies can spread like they did in World War II. Okay, and so we want to create stable trading allies where they are able to rebuild and buy American products. And so this benefits us. Their economies are linked with us. They're then going to be allied with us. And so that's quite a benefit that extends beyond just those $17 billion, which is, quite a bit of money for sure. Okay. Issue number two is, of course, the Holocaust. Okay. We have not necessarily seen such a systemic genocide to this point in history, where you have 6 million Jews and 6 million others who are systematically exterminated. Okay. And so it's hard to quantify, how do you try and bring a sense of justice to this? You can't, when the entire nation of Germany was pretty much in on it. Okay. So one of the attempts that they're going to do is what's known as the Nuremberg trials. Okay. This is based off of the Nuremberg laws, which were laws that stripped Jews of their rights prior to the Holocaust, here towards the beginning, prior to being hoarded into ghettos, concentration camps, and death camps. Okay. So what they're going to do is they're going to put the leaders of the Nazi regime that ordered the systemic extermination on trial. Okay. And they're kind of like writing the laws as they go. Okay. These laws don't exist. So they're going to put them on trial for crimes against humanity. Okay. And you will have them executed for this. Okay. According to international law. The other thing you're going to have is you have millions of refugees around the world at this point that have been displaced, that have fled their homes, fled their home countries. Okay. So how do you take an entire group of people like the Jewish people and help them rebuild? And so that's where you're going to have the creation of Israel, and an attempt to try and restore, what they believe is promised land to them. Next up, we don't want to go through another world war. We've talked about the Treaty of Versailles quite a bit. Okay. In this case, remember, we had the League of Nations. Okay. This is what we have today. That was the precursor to what we have today, the United Nations. Okay. Where you have all the countries of the world, okay, working together to try and minimize conflict. Like, yes, there is war. Yes, there are conflicts, but it has not escalated to world war since. Okay, since then, they've expanded their goals, right, of protecting human rights, providing education to groups that are typically denied education, like women. Okay, providing basic healthcare services, and trying to mitigate and reduce the disasters and trauma that is created by war in general. Okay. So another issue that is new is the United States is the only country that has a nuclear weapon at this point, okay, an atomic bomb. Okay. However, it turns out that there were spy networks in the Manhattan Project, Soviet spies that leaked this classified information to the Soviet Union. And in 1949, they are going to successfully test their first atomic bomb. Okay. And so now all of a sudden there's this fear and this spread of nuclear weapons. Okay. And we have the rise of two superpowers, okay, the United States and the Soviet Union. And so what this is going to kick off is more kind of like a time period than like a specific war known as the Cold War. Okay, so to kind of look at the dates up here, 1946 to 1991, I mean, this is almost a 50-year period where half of the world and the other half are kind of split. Okay, where you have two world superpowers that really dislike each other. Okay, and so there's this word ideological. Okay, they have very different ideas about how to run government. Okay, the United States is a democracy. Okay, we believe in voting and participation and debate and discussion, to some extent. Okay, we're a democratic republic. And then communism in the Soviet Union, which I'll talk a little bit more in class. Okay, now it's important to note, okay, I write this down, there are no direct battles between the United States and the Soviet Union. Okay, because we both have nuclear weapons. Like, this could be the end of the world if we go to war against each other. Okay, we're talking nuclear war. Okay, now that doesn't mean there isn't any fighting. There's plenty of that. Okay, there's going to be conflicts in Europe. Okay, the Korean War. We'll learn about the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Vietnam War. Okay, and we're going to learn about those in much more detail. So the other thing here to prevent World War II, and that's also going to kind of reflect the Cold War, is the division of Germany. Okay, so pretty much the blue here is where the Allied troops, Britain, France, the United States, okay, made it to in World War II. And that's going to become West Germany. Okay, West Germany is going to be capitalist. Okay, capitalist meaning the goal of their economy is to make capital, to make money. Okay, and then East Germany, okay, is going to be an entirely different country, which is going to be communist. Okay, where it gets a little bit more complicated is Berlin. Okay, so this yellow, area right here, that is Berlin, the capital of Germany, and that too is going to be divided. Okay, West Berlin is going to be part of West Germany. Okay, East Berlin is going to be part of East Germany. The problem is it's smack dab in the middle of the communist nation of East Germany. Okay. And so the Soviet Union is going to build this massive wall to try and keep people from fleeing East Berlin to go to West Berlin, right? Because West Berlin and West Germany is going to be very profitable because, again, the goal of capitalism to make money. Okay. And so they're going to like wall their people in and like put armed guards to prevent people from escaping. So this is what it looks like, right? I mean, basically, the Cold War is trying to convince the rest of the world to be like us, right, and to ally with us. So it starts here with the blue nations, as you can see, that are democracies that are allied with the United States, and then you'll see kind of the Soviet bloc here of red nations that are allied with communism. But as we kind of extend further, okay, as you have these former colonies, right? Hey, coming back to imperialism, getting independence, trying to kind of decide who do they want to ally with? What should their future look like? Are they going to be allied with the United States, okay, and become a democracy, or at least, you know, look like a democracy or claim to be a democracy, or are they going to be communist? Okay, and so now all of a sudden it's kind of like the United States is going to get involved all over the globe, interfering with these nations. Okay, as is the Soviet Union. Okay, so we're going to stop there for right now. Okay, we're going to get into much more specific details. So stay awesome, U.S. historians.